Okay, video number 2 on the differences between the Chinese and the Western world and America, right? Being poor is different in China than in the rest of the world. Because no matter how poor you are, you will always have a house and a piece of land to farm on. No taxes, okay? There's no real estate taxes on your house, on your plot of land. And there's zero income taxes if you make below a certain threshold. I think it's like 5,000 RMB, which is the equivalent of, let's say, $800. If you make less than $800 per month, zero income taxes. And then there's very minimal going up, let's say, going up to 8,000 RMB. If you go up to 1,000 or $1,500 USD, you pay like maybe 2-3%. Very minimal as you go up. So the people who pay the taxes are the high income earners, and the corporations, of course, pay the taxes. So the common folks, the poor and middle class, pay very little taxes. Okay, so this is why it's different to be poor in China. To be poor in China means your basic living necessities are taken care of. You got your house. You got your very cheap electricity, literally pennies on a dollar compared to what we pay, right? You have your Wi-Fi. They have actually better than 5G. They have like 5.5, almost near. Now rolling out 6G everywhere. Everywhere. There's a village of 2 households in the middle of the mountains. They will string up an electrical wire to you so that you have electricity and you have Wi-Fi. Everybody has Wi-Fi electricity. So those are basically provided to you by the state, because socialism, right? Socialism, giving free stuff to the people, to the masses. So you got your home, you got your Wi-Fi, you got your cheap clothes, obviously, because everything is made in China, or was, right? The cheap stuff are now increasingly being pushed out to Southeast Asian countries, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, right? Myanmar even, I think. All right. So the cheaper industries, as China's become a little richer and people making more money, the cheaper industries the factories are moving out of China into the other countries. So anyway, you got your house, you got your cheap utilities, you got your cheap clothes, you got your very cheap food. China produces like huge amounts of food, okay? It imports other foods, but basically the basics of, the basic foods that you need to survive, China produces a huge amount of it so that it can sell it to its people for very cheap prices, okay? So once again, being poor, you have access to free land, no real estate taxes, a house that you yourself built on, right? And the materials that you use to build the house are also very cheap, because all that stuff comes from China too, right? So your clothing, very cheap. So you never go, you'll never be cold, right? You never go without electricity or Wi-Fi. What else? The roads, infrastructure, huge infrastructure projects going, that China's has been building for the last 10, 15 years, especially, right? The trains, the highways, the high-speed rail that China's been putting up. More high-speed than the entire world combined, and they did it all in the last 15 years. 15 years that China built more high-speed rail than the entire world combined. And the world, of course, has had a huge head start, right, on this technology, 60-year-old technology. Japan has had their Shinkansen, their bullet train, since the 1960s. Okay, Europe has had it since, let's say, around 2000, right? Despite having all this decades of head start on building high-speed rail, China surpassed it in literally the last 15 years. So this is the stuff that it builds, that it gives to the common people, that it gives either very cheaply or outright free. Okay, so this is why being poor in China is different than being poor elsewhere, because the basics, the basic necessities of living are completely provided to you at free or very low cost. Okay, now, and education, of course, you get a free education out of it. So where you go from there is up to you, right? So it's a different system. As my friend says, it's not better, it's different. All right. So the opportunities, I think, for advancement are still better, maybe getting a little worse today in the West, in America, right? The opportunity to move up, right? Social, move up the social ladder. I mean, a lot of people are complaining that there's not much social mobility, and I agree. It's gotten worse over the last few decades, and I've seen it. I've been here for over 4 decades now in America, and I've seen it. I see the prices have gone up, and I see the wages have not kept up. So it definitely, social mobility is slowing down. It is harder, but China has a different system. Is it easier to move up? Maybe not. Probably not. It's a different system. But that socialist system takes care of its poor and its middle class very well. Okay? But if you want to become rich faster, probably the West is still better. Right? And this is why 20,000 Chinese still coming here illegally every year, right? And I'm trying to tell people on Retinal that, unless you have like 2 good jobs waiting for you, don't come here. It's hard to be poor here. It's hard to be poor. It's hard to be middle class. It's good to be wealthy here. It's very good to be wealthy. So it's a different system. It's not better. It's just different. And I hope you got something out of that. Take care.